How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
And thank you so much for doing this. Tell us a bit about Challenging Heights.
So Challenging Heights is an organization that I started about 20 years ago. In fact, exactly 20 years ago. And it's an organization that was meant to create a platform to correct the injustices of my childhood. So I was myself a victim of human trafficking on Lake Volta. And then I was fortunate to break free, went to school, had a degree, got myself a job in the bank, became a banker. Then I quit to start Challenging Heights because I wanted to correct those injustices that were done to me. And so in the past 20 years, we have rescued several thousands of children from the same situation and provided a program of rehabilitation for them. We have many of them in the universities now. We have many of them who have graduated from the university. In fact, we have even many of them who are doing their masters outside the country. And, you know, apart from rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration of these children, we also have some of the projects that we do that prevent children from being trafficked, because you can't always rescue children. Sometimes you also have to look at the root causes and address it so that you can then prevent the issue from happening. That's why we address poverty in the source communities. We address issues of ocean fishing, where we know that because of environmental issues, the fish stock is getting smaller and dwindling. And because of that, fishermen are becoming poorer. And when they become poorer, then they take their children to these fishermen on the Volta Lake to work as child laborers and victims of trafficking. So we do all these things, curative, as in rescue, rehabilitation, reintegration, as well as preventive work that we do.
Wow. And just this year, 82 children have been rescued.
Yes, so between January and now, we have supported in rescuing 82 children from forced labor on Lake Volta and other sectors. So it's not only Lake Volta that we work in. So, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, in collaboration with the Ghana Police Service, 25 girls were rescued from forced prostitution and were transferred to Nigeria, and we were deeply involved in that. So, yes, majority of the work we do is in fishing, but we also do other sectors as well.
So, I just want to take you back a bit. You've been doing this for about 20 years, right?
Yes.
Annually, how many children do you usually rescue?
On the average, we rescue 150 children. Sometimes 120, other times maybe 200, but on the average, it's about 150.
So if we look at it right now, are we going to say that child trafficking is on the rise or it's gone down? Okay,
so let me backtrack a little bit. Okay. So when I say on average 150, that is purely fishing. But other ones have not come, like those in domestic servitude, those in forced prostitution, etc., etc. If we put everything together...
You rescue all of those?
Yes, we do. I mean, it's like we are a multifaceted organization. Yeah. So we do all of that. And when it comes to the numbers, you're talking about globally, there are over 49.6 million human beings caught up in modern slavery, as far as the global slavery index, figures go. When you come to Ghana, there are 91,000 human beings who are caught up in slavery. And on the Volta Lake, you're talking about 21,000 children who are in forced labor on Volta Lake alone. So the Volta Lake is home to the single largest number of trafficking of children in the country. When you talk about whether it's going up or going down, it's difficult to tell because in Ghana, our data, issues are very problematic. But let me give you some other figures. When it comes to child labor, globally, we were able to work the numbers down to 158 million as far as child labor is concerned. After COVID, that number rose back to 160-something million. So you can see that in terms of the global environment, COVID moved the figures up. as I speak to you now, we don't know how many have been added to as far as child labor and human trafficking is concerned in Ghana. But we can predict that looking at the vulnerabilities of children and families in the various communities, we could predict that the numbers have gone back high. But we don't have data now.
You don't have the data now. And you want an amendment in the child trafficking law, right?
Yes, you see, the child trafficking law, the human trafficking law, which was passed in 2005, has been there for 20 years. As a country and as a society, we have moved on. At the time that the human trafficking law was passed, we didn't have WhatsApp.
Right.
We didn't have Facebook was not that.
We had it, but it wasn't that, prominent.
It was not popular.
Yeah.
We didn't have AI. So the definition of human trafficking is recruitment, harboring, transportation, and exploitation of children or human beings. That every single aspect of this definition must be there in order to achieve prosecution. So you recruit, you harbor, you transport for the purposes of exploitation. Now, with technology, you don't need to transport. So which means that you have removed one aspect of the key ingredient of achieving successful prosecution out. If I decide to lure a child or somebody through Facebook or through LinkedIn or through a TikTok, you cannot now jail me because when you go to court, you cannot prove transportation. So it is important that we look at the law and amend it to take care of the exigencies of the time because we have moved on as a society. Also, the human trafficking law came with a number of structures. It came with the anti-human trafficking unit of the Ghana Police Service. It came with the human trafficking secretariat of the Ministry of Gender. It came with the human trafficking fund. These three institutions all need resources. The human trafficking fund does not have enough money. Let me give you some figures. In 2022, it was budgeted, according to our budget, Ghanaian national budget, 3.1 million was budgeted for the whole human trafficking sector. Out of that, 1.4 was released. In 2023, 1 million was budgeted. We had the benefit of a donor coming in, so we were able to achieve the 1 million and over. In 2024, 2.7 million was budgeted. Zero, as far as our record shows, was released, which means that the national government does not feel obliged to resource those structures that it has created. We are saying that amend the law in such a way that the human trafficking fund will have a compelling and compulsory source of income. We will not use that money for ourselves. It is meant for the state institutions. But put in at least 20 million Ghana cedis to ensure that the police has vehicles, ensure that the police has the resources. When they are going to rescue victims and they go far away places, they need to sleep in a hotel. Who must pay for it? It is the fund that must pay for it. If they don't have, the police service doesn't have the money, how do they go? The human trafficking secretariat, the office is being paid for. They need resources, they need computers. Who pays for it? It is the fund that must pay for it. You're talking about so many activities of addressing human trafficking. So if you don't have enough money in the fund, how do you run it? So we are saying that don't leave the fund discretionary to the minister or the government agencies, but make sure that the fund has a mandatory source of income, whether from the consolidated fund or for whatever sources, so that the minister will not have any discretionary powers in that state. So that's what we are.
That's what you're asking for. All right, and we are hoping that it will be done. But when you rescue these children, what happens, especially with the children that were sold by their own family members? Do you take them back to their family members?
Yes. So you see, it's complex. Basically, my first answer is that when we rescue a child, we want the child to be reunited, reintegrated with the family, because we don't run orphanage. So we cannot keep the children perpetually. And our shelter rehabilitation center is licensed. And the license mandate us not to keep a child for more than 2 years. So we cannot. Now, the complication is that, one, this is the same parent who might have sold the child. So how do you then reunite the child with the same parent? It becomes a very difficult and challenging situation. Two, if you do not reunite the child with this parent, how would you then address the issue of the child? Because you can't keep the child. Where would the child go? The government does not have enough structures, enough resources to keep them. So for us, our first option is to reintegrate the child with the family.
Okay.
And then we support them with their education. We pay for their schooling from kindergarten or whatever year they are till they finish.
But how do the parents receive them, especially after they themselves sold them off?
Some of them do those things out of ignorance.
Okay.
They did not know. Some of them thought that we were in the same era of a standard family system where I can give my child to my uncle or my sister and to live with, and he or she would treat him as though that child is his own child. So, but you know, the human quest to be greedy, then take advantage of these children and exploit them while their own children are going to school. So when you explain the situations to them, then they realize that no, that is not what I wanted my child to be used for. So please, can you help me to get my child back? That's where the rescue starts. So once we rescue them, we know that already there's a prepared parent who is ready to receive them. Now, what we then have to work on is a psychological trauma that the child has gone through. And that's why we take the child to our rehabilitation centers, so that we treat them medically, because most of them come with a lot of diseases. Bilharzia. Have you heard of bilharzia before?
Which one is it?
Bilharzia is when you are urinating, seriswancha, there's blood that comes out. The urine comes as though it's blood.
Blood, okay.
It's very, very painful. Nearly every single...
It's like a UTI, right?
It's like UTI, but it is not. It is a waterborne disease. And nearly every boy on Lake Volta has that disease. Wow. Yes. And they come with ear issues, they come with all manner of diseases. And hepatitis B. Now we are seeing that not less than 35% of every child that we rescue has hepatitis B. Wow. Yes, and they acquire them whilst on the lake. The girls, who are a lot of times used for sexual purposes, come with a lot of the UTI, the sexually transmitted diseases, etc., etc. So when we rescue them and put them in our rehabilitation center, what we do is to work on all of these things. The medical conditions, the psychological state, the nutritional state, and then, of course, most of them never go to school. So they come illiterate. You have to also make sure that they go to school. That is what we do before we even send them to their parents, so that the parent will continue from where we left off whilst we are still supporting them. And we will want to make sure, going forward, we used to not be able to support them throughout the university time. But now we have the capacity to support these children from the beginning till they finish the university. Some even continue to do their masters and we still support them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. James Kofi Annan, for doing this, and thank you for coming to the studio this morning. Before you go, anything you want to say, future prospects?